Alright guys, so here I got Hulk. This is the tube chassis version of it for the SCX24. I made a few changes to this chassis. I've actually added, you see here at the bottom, I have two separate bolt patterns in there. So pretty much you could set your links the way they come factory. So you would use these fronts here to set up your transmission there, your case, and your links will go just the same way that the deadbolt links go, short in the front and long in the back. Or you will use the one in the back, and using that one you have to reverse, the front ones to the back and the back ones to the front, so you have the longer front links, which is the way that I like to run my buggies. I have to print this one out first, just to make sure that everything fits and functions and all of that good stuff. I've had a few customers request a larger version, and they weren't really happy with the size of these buggies. But what they don't really understand, I guess you could say, is that these buggies they had to be made to where they would fit the 124 scale of the SCX24. I can't, you could make them bigger, but in making them bigger, the angle at which the shocks connect to the shock mounts on the chassis, that angle wouldn't be correct when you try to make it. You try to compare it to the original vehicle. Also, the tire size of the SCX24, that's pretty much on the bigger size. That's about a 55 millimeter diameter, and most micro tires that we use are something like 48 millimeters, unless you're using um, like scramblers, which those are bigger, of course. But most people just use smaller tires, and if I was to make the bodies bigger than what this is, which is anywhere from 144 to about 147, depending on the buggy millimeters. If I were to make it any bigger, it just wouldn't work right with those smaller tires. So I have to make these chassis to where they fit the majority of the people that are going to be using them. I cannot limit the design to just function with one set of tires, and I don't feel that that would be fair, to everybody. Because I mean, then I would pretty much get everybody stuck with the same tire size, and we all know how much of an issue that is, not being able to find a tire that fits right. So I think that the size that these guys are, even though they seem to be small, if you pair them with if you take a picture of them and put it side by side with the real deal, they're very very close. And you have to understand, guys, like this is a scale kind of thing. This is not gonna be 100% as the original. For example, there's gonna be some variations in the design of the body itself. There's gonna be, like, for example, right here, this little point right here, that's not on the original, but you have to put it on this. That gives it a little bit more strength for the chassis, so the whole piece doesn't rip out if you hit something. And also there's another one here. I try to hide them so that it doesn't look like different from what the original vehicle is. But if you really pay close attention, you're gonna find those extra, tubes that are really just there to provide extra support for the whole vehicle, so that nothing breaks. So obviously those changes need to be made so that this actually works. Another thing, the grill for the engine is supposed to have a lot more fins, but because this has to be printed, if I were to put too many fins when Shapeways was to print it, there could be some fins that were covered with material, and I've had that issue before. So I decided to go with bigger fins that leave a bigger space in between, so that the fins are nice and clean when they come out. But if you look at the original vehicle, I want to say there's like 21 fins, something like that. So obviously this is not perfect to scale, but it kind of makes it look as if it's close enough. But anyways, I'm not posting this one tonight. Like I said, I have it on the printer, which I just fixed, and hopefully the print will come out right, and I'll be able to test fit it tomorrow. Because of all these, mounting holes here, I want to make sure that it works, on both variations, front and back, before I put it out there. This one has a really big space in here, so the servo should clear it. Let me see. Yeah, I don't want to get rid of this bottom bar. So other measurements when designing it seem to work out, and it seems like it's gonna clear everything fine. But like I said, that's why we have to print them and test them first, which I do with all the designs that I make. So I make sure that everything works before I put it out there. So I don't want to get nobody confused. As with every other buggy that I have for the SCX24, you do have to extend the shock length, and the way you do that is you use the standard servo bolts. I mean, that's the way I do it, but you don't have to do it that way. But it's a lot easier if you do it that way. If you have a standard 1/10 scale servo, you take the 4 bolts out of the servo case, and then you use those as shafts for the shocks. And depending on how much thread you cut off of it, then that's the length you're gonna get for the shocks. That's if you want to use the stock shocks. You could always use other shocks, like for example, let me see, I got a mess here. For example, you could use the Charisma shocks, which are these aluminum shocks. These are longer than the SCX stock shocks, and you could put oil in them and all that good stuff. And these work really good. But this is just like, if you want to go aftermarket and use that. All my designs, I try to make them to where you can use stock everything. So pretty much what you're going to be spending money on is just chassis. And I try to make sure that, once, of course, you extend the shocks, you'll be able to get the best performance out of this chassis itself. And, you got to take into account that you're using all stock parts if you go that route. And, getting even better performance than what the stock Axial SCX24 does is not easy. But you are going to get better performance with these buggies. Of course, if you want to maximize the performance, you can make your own links. So you could alter the length. You could change tires. You could change shocks. That's what the whole hobby is about. So, you can pretty much make it however you want to make it, and you'll get really, really good performance out of it. This one, I'm going to do my best, but I don't know if I'm going to be able to get it at 35. This one has a lot more material, a lot more tubes. Every time you put some, big surface area like this one, where there's a lot more material in there, Shapeways likes to charge a lot of money for it. Like right here, all this special, really thick areas here for the shocks, which, I wanted to make them really strong so they don't break. That costs money. And as you can see here, really thick for the shock mounts. And of course, this right here. All of this is gonna account into, what the price of the print is gonna be. So I'm gonna try and do my best. I mean, if I could keep it at 35, then awesome. But I have a feeling that this may fall in the $40 range. So, I mean, it is a little bit bigger, a little bit more spacious than the other ones. So if you guys are looking for a bigger one, this would be the way to go. And I don't know. We'll see what it turns out. Anyways, that's Hulk, and you know, hopefully soon I'll also offer one with body panels. But for now, this is what I got. I've been spending a lot of time designing these, so I hope you guys like it. Anyways, that's where we at. I'll be posting this maybe tomorrow. Like I said, if everything goes well with all the measurements, and I'll let you guys how it goes. Thanks.